First of all, hi to everyone. Myself Prashant. We are in the part third of the second chapter of Indian polity, that is making of the Indian Constitution. So let's begin. Changes in Constituent Assembly through Indian Independence Act, right? So what were the changes? So first and foremost important change which happened through this act was that Constituent Assembly was made fully a sovereign body, right? So what does this sovereign body means? It basically means that now Constituent Assembly is purely independent, right? And it can function independently without anyone's interference, right? CA is purely independent, right? Here, when any body becomes sovereign, there will be no interference of any country's government, right? So it basically means that body is purely independent to function. Now, the second important change which happened through this Indian Independence Act was that uh, Constituent CF or Constituent Assembly. So, Constituent Assembly got dual role, right? First role was as a legislative body, legislative legislative body, and the second role was as a constituent body, right? Constituent body. So when Constituent Assembly functioned as a legislative body, so it used to make laws, right? And when Constituent Assembly was functioning as a constituent body, so it was doing work for making of constitution, right? And who presided when Constituent Assembly was functioning as a legislative body? So the person was G.V. Mavlankar. G.V. Mavlankar, right? And who presided when Constituent Assembly functioned as constituent body? So the person was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, right? So this is very important. Now let's discuss some of the important major committees, right? So there was this Union Powers Committee, which was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru, JLN for Jawaharlal Nehru. Then there was this Union Constitution Committee headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. Then this Provincial Constitution Committee was headed by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, right? So these are all committees which were there in the Constituent Assembly, right? Now, drafting committee. So, drafting committee for making of Indian Constitution, right? So, there were total seven member, including chairman. Seven member, seven member in total, including chairman, including chairman, right? And who was the chairman? So, the chairman was Bhimrao Ambedkar. Everyone knows. The other person or the other member of the drafting committee were N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar, then Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, then Dr. K. Munshi was also a member of the drafting committee. Sayyid Muhammad Sadullah, he was also a member of a drafting committee. N. Madhav Rao, he was also a member of drafting committee. And the last, T.T. Krishnamachari, he was also the member of the drafting committee, right? So this is very important to know. Questions have been asked earlier also in UPSC and various other state BCS examinations. Now, enactment of Constitution when Constituent Assembly, not Constituent Assembly, yeah, when there were various stages, right? When there was this enactment of Constitution in the Constituent Assembly. So, what were those stages and what things happened in those stages? In those stages, we will know here. So, in total, there were three readings when there was this enactment of Constitution. Then a final draft was prepared on November 26, 1949. So this is very, very important, right? Final draft. Final draft. Final draft was prepared on November 26, 1949, right? Constitution adopted. Constitution was adopted on November 26, 1949. It contained a preamble. Then it contained a preamble. Then 395 articles and 8 schedules. So questions have been asked in UPSC pre and BPSC pre and UPSC pre as well. That when Constitution was first adopted on November 26, 1949, it contained what also? It contained preamble, 395 articles, and 8 schedules. This is very important. Currently, we have uh, currently uh, currently we have I think 12 schedules, right? 12 schedules, and we have we have more than 400 articles, right? 400 plus articles. So this is very important to know. And we also need to know that when uh, when Constitution was first enforced, right? So it was when it was first enforced in November 26, 1949. So at that time only uh, various other provisions of the Constitution was enforced. So what were those provisions? So the provisions were citizenship, citizenship, right? And citizenship comes in part 2 of Indian Constitution. Then election part of the Constitution was also enforced. Election comes in part 15 of Indian Constitution. Then provisional parliament was enforced. Provisional parliament. Provisional parliament uh, provisions were enforced, right? And uh, temporary and transitional provisions were also enforced. Temporary, temporary, and transitional provisions, right? So this provision is in which part? So it is in part 21 of the Indian Constitution. Part 21 of Indian Constitution, right? Then short title part of Indian Constitution was also enforced. So this short title commencement and all is in part 22 of the Indian Constitution. Part 22, right? So, and this is also the last part of the Indian Constitution. You also need to know. And there were some other provisions which were not enforced. So, what were those provisions? We will know. So, like uh, like uh, DPSP, Director Principal State Policy, fundamental rights, FR for fundamental rights, preamble, preamble, union, state, right? So these were not implemented, right? Some of the provisions of this part came later. But what we need to know here is that in UPSC questions can be twisted and said that DPSP was enforced or fundamental right was enforced in November 26, 1949 itself. So the answer is that these provisions were not enforced. Some of these provisions came later on, right? So this we need to know as well, right? Now there are uh, there are criticism of Constituent Assembly as well, right? So criticism of Constituent Assembly is with respect to that it was not a representative body. So there were nominations of members. So that is why it is criticized for the fact that it is not a representative body. Then some also say that it is not a sovereign body since uh, this provision in itself was given by Britishers through India Independence Act 1947, right? So and it is also criticized for the fact that it consumed a lot of time, right? It took 2 years, 11 months, 18 days. We all know 18 days. So this time is something which is which is large, which is very large, right? And some notes say like it is the fact that Constituent Assembly was dominated by Indian National Congress. So all the members were of Indian National Congress only, except for few, right? So this Constituent Assembly was also dominated by lawyer and politician, right? So leaders of the masses or other domain were leaders of other domain were not there in Constituent Assembly. So lawyer and leaders from the field of lawyer, leaders from the field of politics were only dominating the Constituent Assembly, right? And it was dominated by Hindus. So most of the leaders in Constituent Assembly were Hindus, right? So this is it, I guess. I think I have covered all the important points from the exam point of view. So here we are concluding this second chapter of Indian polity, right? So thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.